Our scripture this evening comes from Romans chapter 6, verses 15 and 16. Romans chapter 6, verses 15 and 16. Again, Romans chapter 6, verses 15 and 16. There is something that we like, and everybody gets excited when something is free. There's something about our psyche to hear that it was free or to know it will be free that makes us feel good. That's how they get people to sign up for credit cards. They offer you something free like a Yeti cup or something if you sign up. I've seen people that go and spend 30, 40, $50,000 on a car and they said, they gave me free car mats. And I'm thinking you spent $50,000 on a car and you're excited about some $50 car mats. People like free. You ever go in the grocery store or some of these warehouses, discount warehouses, and they've got the little food stations and they're giving you something in that little cup, and we break our neck to get over there. And God forbid the person in front of you takes the last cup and they tell you it's going to be about 10 minutes before they have another batch. Oh, you get upset over something free, a teaspoonful of something that's free. We like free. Well, here's something that is free that people don't always appreciate, and that's what we call free will. Romans chapter 6, starting at verse 15, will explain this concept called free will. Verse 15, what then shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? Certainly not. Do you not know that to whom you present yourselves slaves to obey, you are that one slaves whom you obey, whether of sin leading to death or of obedience leading to righteousness? Let's talk about this theological, biblical concept called free will. It basically means that God has given us the ability to make a choice as to sin or righteousness. Are we going to follow him or are we going to follow Satan? Free will means that we have the opportunity to choose virtue or we can choose sin. Free will means that we are not coerced or not forced by external sources to decide, but we have the choice within ourselves to decide. And that's why here he talks about yielding yourself as a slave to either righteousness or unrighteousness. It's a free will choice. Now, I mentioned everybody doesn't seem to like the idea of free will because they blame other entities or other elements for the choices they make. For example, people say genetics. There are people who really believe that what people do is the result of what's in their DNA. I'm sorry to tell you, but DNA does not dictate your choices. DNA speaks to your hair color, your height, your eye color, skin tone, your health. But even as genetically tied as we are to our ancestors, there is no biblical support or even psychological or biological evidence to say that we are inclined or less inclined to make decisions because of genetics. We tend to make genetic decisions that are consistent with our genetic heritage, not because we are genetically programmed to do that, but because people are nurtured by familiarity and nurtured by the traditions and the things that are consistent with their upbringing, but that does not mean they do not have choice. There are people who believe that things happen because of chance. The problem with just thinking that life happens by chance is that, number one, we start to think we don't have a choice when we do. And number two, then it means that there is no divine intent or purpose that we get, because if everything was by chance, how could God hold us accountable for choices when they are simply by chance? Now, here's another one that a lot of people don't agree with, but I will take anyone to task on this, and that's astrology. Well, people get hung up on whether they're Pisces, Aries, Cancer, Virgo, Libra, whatever those things are. Do you know that there's nothing in astrology that dictates your choices? The alignment of the stars and the moon and the constellations have nothing to do with choice or personality. Those things find a set of things that tend to be common to people and lump them together and say, see, this is how people act according to an astrological sign. Probably has less to do with astrology and more to do with environment than anything. Did you know that astrology was born in the Babylonian Empire? Thousands of years ago. You remember the Babylonian Empire? That's where King Nebuchadnezzar ruled. And in the Babylonian Empire, it represented rebellion against God. It was the Antichrist, so to speak. Do you know that there were people in the Bible who had astrologers, and their astrologers were dumbfounded by the idea that they could not come to a proper prophecy or vision or conclusion about events, and they would always have to seek somebody, namely God's person? You read when you get time Daniel chapter 1 and verse 20, and Daniel chapter 2 and verse 27. And Daniel 1 and verse 20, Daniel 2 and verse 27, just those two verses address the fact that astrology is junk science at best. Your personality has nothing to do with some astrological sign. That is not only false, but it is pagan at its core. So what must we conclude? If it's not genetics, it's not chance, it's not astrology, it's free will. It is our ability to choose, again, virtue or sin, right or wrong. That's what free will means. It means that when we stand before God, He's not going to ask us about our genetic makeup and the choices we made because of genetics. He's not going to say, well, I'm going to judge you knowing that everything happened as a result of chance. He's not going to ask, what was your astrological sign? He's going to say, what are the choices that you made? And that's what Romans chapter 6, verses 15 and 16 are teaching us. So here's what we must learn about our choice, given the choice to do what is right. 3 very simple things we can do in choosing to do right. That is, share a word of kindness with someone. I know that we love to talk about a lot of different topics: sports, politics, things that are happening on the world stage. But when do we share a word of kindness, and in particular, a word about God to others? Second, say something to encourage and motivate people. You have no idea how people around you may be dealing with depression and discouragement. And as ambassadors of Christ, let's be the ones who spread a word of encouragement and put something in people to help them and to bless them. And third, let's choose to serve in the kingdom. There is work to be done. And if everyone would just pull on that chain just a little bit, we can carry the heavy load. As we talk about choice, that's what Romans 6 verses 15 and 16 teaches us, that we have a choice. Let's make the choice that we're not going to blame genetics or chance or astrology, but we're going to serve and yield ourselves to righteousness by sharing a word about God with others, saying nice things to others, and being of service in his kingdom. It may just make somebody's day, and it will help you along the way. This has been another installment of A Few Minutes with the Minister.